Hello everyone. Today I am going to introduce simple chemical cell. First, what is a simple chemical cell? A simple cell is a system that converts chemical energy into electrical energy. A simple cell is made of two metals, which are called electrodes. One more reactive than the other, connected together by a wire and dipped in an electrolyte. Let's first recall the reactions of metals and acid before the discussions on simple chemical cell. In the setup below, we have dilute H2SO4, dipped with two metals, Zn and Cu. If you can recall, Zn metal reacts with acid to give hydrogen gas. So one of the observations is colorless gas bubbles evolved. Zinc-copper has no reactions with dilute acid. According to the reactions between zinc metal and acid, the following ionic equation will be obtained. Zinc metal will become Zn2 plus ion, and H plus ion will become hydrogen gas. With the same setup, but now the two metals are connected with a wire and a light bulb, something amazing will happen. Again, zinc reacts with acid. However, what are the observations this time? We see that gas bubbles are formed on the copper electrode instead of zinc electrode. So what happens? When the two metals are connected, zinc will react with acid. According to this half equation, zinc metal will become Zn2 plus ion, and at the same time, two electrons will be produced. The two electrons will be transmitted to the copper electrode through the wire. It means that in an electron flow, chemical energy is converted to electrical energy. Therefore, the bulb lights up. Moreover, since the electrons flow from zinc electrode to copper electrode through the wire, another half equation should describe the situation on the copper electrode, that is, the H plus ion in acid will accept the electrons from the copper electrode to give hydrogen gas. So we have demonstrated the theory of this simple chemical cell. Since this setup is too simple, side reactions will also occur. The reason of saying this is based on observations. Gas bubbles are observed on the copper electrode, but they are also observed on the zinc electrode. So what happens? In the reaction of zinc and acid, we cannot control all the electrons flow through the wire. Direct reactions will occur. There are problems caused by the direct reactions. The problem is that the conversion of chemical energy to electrical energy is far from completion. In order to avoid direct reactions, we introduce the concept of half cell. Half cell can maximize the efficiency of chemical cell because direct reactions are prevented. To avoid direct reactions, the setup is separated into two parts. On the left, the electrode is zinc metal, and the electrolyte is zinc sulfate solution, ZnSO4. Since zinc metal has no reactions with ZnSO4, direct reactions are prevented. All the electrons produced will be transmitted to the copper electrode through the wire, which are then accepted by acid. In a full electrochemical cell, species from one half cell lose electrons to their electrode while species from the other half cell gain electrons from their electrode. Take this setup as an example. When zinc electrode on the left half cell loses electrons, the electrons will be transmitted to the copper electrode on the right half cell and are gained by H plus ion. In other words, when zinc metal becomes Zn2 plus ion on the left half cell, giving out electrons, the electrons will be transmitted to the copper electrode on the right half cell through the wire. Besides, you may notice that there is something in between connecting the two half cell. It is called salt bridge. Salt bridge is a device used to connect two half cells of simple chemical cell. Usually, a salt bridge consists of glass tube or filter paper with inert electrolytes. The word inert indicates that these electrolytes do not undergo chemical reactions in the process. Examples of inert electrolytes include KCl and KNO3. One of the purposes of adding salt bridge is to maintain the electrical neutrality within the internal circuit, and hence to reduce the electrical potential. Another purpose is to complete the circuit. For example, KCl is used as the inert electrolyte in the salt bridge. As mentioned above, zinc electrode on the left half cell will become Zn2+ ions in ZnSO4 solution and give out electrons flowing through the wire. Therefore, the positive charges on the left half cell increase. On the right half cell, there are H+ ions accepting the electrons from zinc electrode to become hydrogen gas. The overall outcome is that, as the reaction proceeds, the positive charges on the left half cell increase, while the positive charges on the right half cell decrease due to the decrease in amount of H+ ions. That's why the salt bridge should be added. We have KCl, which means K+ and Cl- ions. When the positive charges increase on the left half cell, they will attract Cl- ions, which move towards the left. When the positive charges on the right half cell decrease, K+ ions will move to the right to reduce the electrical potential. Without salt bridge, the cell will stop functioning due to the increasing electrical potential. Alright, we have finished the discussions on the theory of simple chemical cell. Then, we are going to have some drilling exercises. Exercise 1. On the left, there is zinc metal. On the right, there is copper metal. The electrolyte in the left half cell is ZnSO4, while that in the right half cell is sulfuric acid, H2SO4. In fact, this setup is the same as the example mentioned above. Zn metal will become Zn2+ ions, while the H+ ions on the right half cell will become hydrogen gas. Therefore, it is actually a reaction of zinc metal and dilute H2SO4. As a result, we know the electrons flow from the zinc electrode to the copper electrode. If you are asked to describe the electron flow, remember to mention that the electrons flow through the electric wire. Electrons flow from Zn electrode to Cu electrode through the electric wire. Then, let's try to write the half equations to describe the reaction on each electrode. On the zinc electrode, zinc metal becomes Zn2+ ions and gives out electrons. On the copper electrode, H+ ions in sulfuric acid accept electrons flowing from the zinc electrode to become hydrogen gas. Combine the two half equations on the two electrodes. We will have this overall ionic equation, a reaction between Zn and acid. It shows that no matter a beaker or two half cells are used in the setup, the reactions are the same. Zn reacts with acid. For observations, since the zinc metal becomes Zn2+ ions in the reaction, the zinc metal will become thinner. On the copper electrode, colorless gas bubbles are formed. The colorless gas is hydrogen as mentioned above. There are some more experimental results that you need to know. On the left half cell, zinc metal becomes Zn2+ ions continuously, so the concentration of Zn2+ ions in electrolyte increase. On the right half cell, H+ ions become hydrogen gas continuously. So the concentration of H+ ions in electrolyte decrease. The decrease in concentration of H+ ions means that the pH value in the right half cell will increase. These are the results that you need to know in experiments of chemical cells. Here is the second drilling exercise. On the left, there is silver metal. On the right, there is copper metal. After seeing this setup, you may think that copper is more reactive than silver, so electrons will flow from copper metal to silver metal. However, when deciding whether a chemical cell can function, we have to see whether the metals react with the electrolyte. The electrolyte used in both half cells is dilute sulfuric acid, and we know that silver metal has no reactions with dilute sulfuric acid. Will copper react with dilute sulfuric acid? No. Therefore, any complicated changes in the setup cannot make an impossible reaction possible. When the two metals have no reactions with acid, there will be no electron flow in the setup. So there is no reaction in this exercise. Let's do one more exercise. This time, the electrodes are zinc and copper metals. On the half cell of zinc electrode, the electrolyte is zinc nitrate. On the half cell of copper electrode, the electrolyte is copper 2 nitrate. First, we have to consider if there are any reactions, such as whether zinc metal reacts with copper ions, and whether copper reacts with zinc ions. We know that zinc metal reacts with Cu2+ ions, because according to the reactivity series, zinc is more reactive than copper. So zinc metal will react with copper ions to give zinc ions and copper metal. After knowing the reactions, we can decide the electron flow. Since zinc metal reacts with copper ions, electrons will flow from zinc electrode to copper electrode through the electric wire. Then we can write the half equations. On the zinc electrode, zinc metal becomes Zn2+ ions and gives out 2 electrons. The 2 electrons then flow through the wire to the copper electrode, and are accepted by copper ions in the electrolyte to give copper metal. Combine the two half equations on the 2 electrodes. The overall ionic equation will be obtained. In other words, this is a displacement reaction. What are the observations in this setup? The same as the above exercise, zinc metal becomes Zn2+ ions, so we can observe that the zinc metal becomes thinner. Remember that the concentration of Zn2+ ions increases. On the copper electrode, Cu2+ ions become copper metal. So new layers of copper metal are formed on the Cu electrode. We will see that the copper metal becomes thicker. Also, the concentration of Cu2+ ions in electrolyte decreased due to the formation of copper metal with the consumption of Cu2+ ions. so the blue color of copper 2 nitrate solution fades out. Alright, let's have a brief summary. The theory of simple chemical cell is that the chemical energy involved in the reaction of a metal and electrolyte is converted into electrical energy with the use of a wire. If the electrolyte is contained in one beaker, the zinc metal will have the possibility to undergo direct reactions with the electrolyte. To solve this problem, we introduce the concept of half cell. In order to complete the circuit in the two half cells, we add a salt bridge to connect the two half cells. The last concept to be reminded is that we have to see whether the two metals have any reactions with the electrolyte in a simple chemical cell before deciding whether the cell can function or not. In the setup shown, it seems to have all the components required, but zinc metal will not react with Na+ ions. So there are no reactions in this chemical cell. Any complicated changes in the setup cannot make an impossible reaction possible. We have finished the introduction on simple chemical cell. If you want to learn redox reactions, you may watch the corresponding videos.